You wrote and directed the upcoming film I'm Charlie Walker. What made you want to create this project?
Charlie Walker himself made me want to create it. He wrote a book in the 90s, and he and the executive producer, Bill O'Keefe, approached me to write a script. And I approached it as an entrepreneur, family man, just trying to get a gig. You know, he was working the gig economy in the 70s. He came out of the military and didn't want to go into corporate world. He wanted to be his own boss. And the only way to do that was to be an entrepreneur back then. Without the cell phones and internet, you just had to go out there and, do it. So Charlie is from the South. He's from Mississippi, came out to San Francisco after his stint in the Korean War. We met in the 2000s, 40 years after his story was written, and we got greenlit.
Well, what about Mike Colter made you say that's my Charlie?
Charlie Walker, the man himself, is well over 6 feet, big guy, big presence. It's just, is one of these people who just is, he's imposing with the way he speaks, super outgoing, super charming. Come on, Mike is a great actor. He's great looking, super talented, knows the craft, does his homework, shows up, does the hard work, sticks around after we end the movie, he was, super helpful and down. He's done a lot of great things and he's a busy guy. So, how that goes.
Yeah, I think what fascinated me the most is obviously Colter is fantastic in the film, but the ensemble cast is also currently brilliantly put together. How did that all come about as well?
Thank you for that, because I truly believe that the first and maybe last most important decision any director makes is casting. Come on, you cast. My approach to casting and directing is you cast someone because you love the way they, speak or walk or, just approach things, their smile, their ferocity, or their, just their general, personality. Once you do that, they've already read the material. Their interpretation of the material is probably not going to be far off from what you had. And I don't like to stir the pot too much and try to get actors to do something outside their comfort zone. Some actors like that, and you'll know when an actor likes that. But I trusted all these actors, and they were all so great. And they all became friends. They still hang out and talk. I see them communicating on Instagram, liking each other's stuff to this day.
What were some of the obstacles you faced recreating 1971 San Francisco?
Not having enough money. Are you a filmmaker? Tell me, are you
No, but I do talk to a lot of independent filmmakers, so I get that, especially here in this local area as well.
Yeah, independent, is synonymous with broke. You're a broke filmmaker, but you've been, tasked with this monumental, effort. All these people coming together, and you want to pay a fair wage. So you want to put as much money on the screen as possible, but you also want to pay your crew a fair wage because they are working so hard for you. And the truth is, you're always going to get a deal from an indie crew because they're just, they work super hard. They're in the mission. It's not like they're collecting a check. So, we had to find the one and only private beach in the state of California, Dillon Beach, just north of Petaluma, where they let you drive a truck on and have people go out and do things. There's only one beach. We had that greenlit our movie, the fact that we had a beach. It's just hard. You've got to get creative. You have to shoot small. We bought the show car. We bought, the Monte Carlo that Mike Colter drives in the film. He actually still owns that car. It's an indie film. Hopefully it doesn't look like an indie film, but can't hide.
I think that's one of the more fascinating things when you watch an independent film is nobody watches it. Oh, this is what this budget. No, it comes off rather well. So then my thinking is always like, all right, so what were the obstacles in place getting to recreate some of this different time film? And obviously we're talking 50 years ago now. Um,
A better answer is we shot a lot of it over in Oakland, California. San Francisco was sort of developed, but Oakland, California still had these pockets where you had, not so many skyscrapers. So we shot over in Oakland, California. We shot in Marin County, California. We did shoot in San Francisco, and South San Francisco we shot a lot in. So, that's the other thing. A lot of people shoot up in, Canada for America, and you shoot, this for that. We shot Dillon Beach for Stinson Beach because Stinson Beach is a national park. But you'll all find out, June 10th, video on demand. I'm supposed to put my plug in. All platforms, baby.
Nothing wrong with that. I think one of the more fascinating things to me, obviously, is my introduction to Charlie Walker is not understanding who or what he was until I saw this film, which is just incredible to understand. But my question to you is, when doing your research, what was something that you found surprising about Charlie Walker?
He just, I had so much in common with him. I mean, here's a man that was, a bit older than me, and he had a completely different life experience. He's an African-American who, grew up in the South and moved to San Francisco, fought in the Korean War. I didn't do any of that. I'm the exact opposite of his entire story. My father was military. We moved all over the country, but, so I understood a little bit of that. But we were so similar. He has daughters. I have daughters. He just wanted to provide for them. He was an entrepreneur. And today it's a gig economy. I'm an independent filmmaker. So, I'm hustling, I'm doing things. He was a trucker, construction businessman. We had so much in common because we just loved that deal. Greenlighting a movie for me was much like getting a big construction job for him. He's like, man, I'm going to be working for the next 18 months and I'm billing full for my trucks. I got my people working. Like, he's got friends who want jobs. All of his trucker friends are relying on him. I've got friends that are, DPs and makeup and stylists and, grip guys and gals, and they depend on me to get, hey, Pat, when's your next project? We are so similar, and he did all this without cell phones and the internet. So, he's a part of me.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I found cool as well, is like, when you think about it, you can't see a story like this happening now, obviously, because you have so many different avenues of media and stuff like that. So it's kind of fascinating how he wheeled and dealed back in that time frame, right?
Yeah. You're right. I'll just say yes, you're right. I appreciate that.
My final question to you: what was it like to have Mayor Willie Brown Jr. in the film? I thought that was really cool, just to have like a little integral piece of the puzzle in here.
So it is so ironic. It's a great story, and I'll make it quick. So Charlie Walker used to drive Willie Brown around San Francisco in the 60s and 70s. And they're friends. And it sort of came up, hey, can we do something to get Willie in the movie? I mean, he's a great guy. He was in The Godfather 3, for goodness sake. He's got experience with, film, with the greatest director of all time, possibly. And so he came and I met him and we wrote a small part for him as a cab driver. He didn't ask us to write the cab driver. That was our idea. And turns out Willie Brown worked his way through Hastings College in the 50s as a cab driver. He even had his own jacket and tie and his old hat. He brought his wardrobe to set, and we got an old like style checker cab, and he was great. He's a cab driver. If you ever need a cab driver in your movie, call Willie Brown. He's got the clothes. He knows how, he's got the talk.
It's kind of great. It's kind of coincidental how some of those things fall into place, right? Especially in the world of film, right?
We felt very fortunate.